Out. That's a horrible sound. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Technical difficulties. Okay. Okay. She says she can hear me. All right, so I hope there's not an echo for you guys. And if not, that's fine. I'm just going to turn my volume down so I don't hear myself. Okay, cool. So I'm going to continue on. If you're just joining, hi, welcome. And I just restarted it. So I just want to get, let me see. I hope it should be working now. I swear, you guys get to see my first live stream, and then I'll have it all figured out after this. But technology can be a little bit difficult in the jungle sometimes, a little more difficult than normal. So I assume that you guys can hear me. So yes, welcome. I really want this to be interactive, so if you're watching and you guys are able to chat, that would be great, because really my intention with this is to be able to share what's going on with me on a personal level here in Costa Rica. I know, like, on social media sometimes we post, you know, what we think followers want or what has to do with what a certain goal is, but I wanted to be able to connect more with friends and family and talk about more what I'm doing here and hear what you guys are up to also. So there is a delay with the chat, it looks, or there's a delay with me, so with the chat, I'll catch up. You'll probably hear me respond to you later. So hi Joelle, hi Mom. I don't know who else is in here, it doesn't tell me. Just Joelle, so I guess you have to probably log in to, for me to be able to see you. But yeah, that's really my goal here today, and I don't have a certain amount of time that I'm going to be talking. If people don't really interact, probably won't be that long, but if people are interested and have questions and stuff, then it'll probably go a little bit longer. But yeah, first and foremost, welcome. I'm grateful that you're all here joining me. This is sort of surreal, the whole live streaming thing for me, doing unedited live streams and not really having people able to react. One of the great things I love about doing therapy is that people interact with me one-on-one, and I'm good at that. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. And one thing that was hard for me with teaching yoga is that you don't necessarily get that interaction. So this is an interesting process for me. And yes, I'm here in Malpais, Costa Rica. If some of you have been here, I know Joelle's been here, my mom, then you know where I am. Otherwise, if not, I live here on the tip of the Nicoyan Peninsula. It's the most southern tip here, so it's about a 6-hour journey from San Jose because you have to take a couple different cars, you have to take a ferry, there's an option to fly here. But one of the beautiful things about this area is that it's off the beaten path. It's not, you don't just get to the airport and you can drive here in an hour, 30 minutes. You have to plan things. It's an adventure to get here. It's part of the journey. And once you're here, you're really grateful to be here. So because of that aspect, we have a different kind of tourist or a different kind of traveler that comes here, and a really different kind of person that comes and stays here, different kind of person that's attracted to this place. Joelle, my friend, is one such person. She's watching this, and she just came when were you here at the end of May and loved it, and she's going to be coming back. And some people come here and they hate it, but I was such person, one such person that when I came here, I absolutely fell in love with Costa Rica, with Santa Teresa in general, and I made it my mission to be here full time. This was at the end of 2012. So I don't really know who's watching, so I don't really know how far into my story to go. But how far? Oh, someone just met. So yeah, you guys can message me on Facebook, and I'll be able to read from there if you're not able to chat. Okay, cool. Hey, Robbie. Nice to have you. Cool. So, and by the way, I think to be able to chat, I think you have to log into your YouTube account. I think that's what might have to happen if you have a YouTube or a Google account. So yeah, I don't really know how far back to go with my story or how detailed to get with it at this point, but I want to be able to give some context to what I'm doing here, especially if you haven't talked to me in the last year or longer. So I'll give a general history. So I came here, I fell in love with this place. I went back to LA, I was living in Venice at the time, and I just knew that I wanted to live in Costa Rica, and in Santa Teresa in particular. I was only here for 5 days initially, but I knew that this was the place for me. And I had this sort of sense of sadness when I left here. And this place for me really just kind of felt like home in a way that not, anywhere else had felt. Sorry, Mom, before. And after that, after I returned to Venice and I sort of made it my intention that I wanted to live in Costa Rica, there were a lot of different events and situations that unfolded that sort of supported my journey here. And one such journey, oh, my mom can't figure out how to chat. If you just message me, I'll see it and I can respond. It pops up on my computer. One such story, which again, I won't go too far into detail, but one thing that sort of let me know that I was on the right track with wanting to live here and be here full time was that about a couple months after I had come here for the first time, I had an apartment, someone who lived in my apartment who I wasn't really close friends with, but he had gone home for Christmas to Ohio. And he came back and he was like, "Oh, I got you a present." And I was like, "Well, that's weird. I don't really know you." And he was like, No, like, I know it's weird, but when you see it, you'll understand why I got it for you. And he pulls out this comic book that says Rima the Jungle Girl on it. And I should have brought it to show you guys. But and I had never heard of this comic book. And I went on to research it or to read the comic book. And it was a story about a girl named Rima, spelled the same way, who lives in the Middle East, or is from the Middle East and lives in the jungle in Central America, and she is a vegan. And this comic book is from the 1970s. It's a DC comic book. It's a 7 comic book series, and she uses her powers and this language to talk to birds and animals to fight poachers and hunters. And at this time, I was very active in the animal rights scene in LA, and as you all know, I'm a very outspoken vegan. And so it was something that just resonated with me of like, whoa, like here's me in this comic book and who I want to be. And I like essentially became that character, and there's a lot more to the story. It's also a book and a movie, and it became my blog. And so for me, it was sort of like this magical continuation of everything that had already happened since I came here for the first time. And so a very long story short, I kept traveling back here. I met Pete. Him and I fell in love very quickly. And you know, I told him from the beginning that I wanted to live in Costa Rica. I was working to make it full time here, and he had actually been here with his ex-girlfriend and visited Santa Teresa, and he thought, great, you know, that sounds like an amazing plan. And, you know, we eventually started working on that together, but I think our timelines were very different. And for me, when I get something in my head, I just go. I go full steam ahead. And there's nothing that can stop me. And my goal was to be there within the next year. And so in that time, I was traveling back and forth here. I started promoting yoga retreats, and I started a website called costarima.com. And through that, I was promoting other people's yoga retreats, and I started marketing them and hosting them. And through that work and those relationships, I met a lot of people here who have properties in Costa Rica and businesses and hotels, and just people that didn't know how to market their, you know, these properties. And what I found was that if I could help these people to market their properties and things, that I could receive a commission if I was able to successfully find a buyer for one of these listings. And so for me, this was a way that I could really make some money in Santa Teresa and support myself here, because it's very expensive to live here. And, you know, I come from a very hardworking family. We work for everything. It's like nothing is handed to us. And so for me, it was like, this is a way that I could work hard and get some capital and be able to live here, you know, if it worked out. So of course, you never know if something like this is going to work out, but I just went for it. I started listing all kinds of properties and on Facebook, making connections with people. And even though I wasn't here physically, I started working here. And I listed Hotel Nautilus, because the previous owners had wanted to find a buyer for it. They wanted to sell the hotel. Hi, Anti-Platitude. I don't know who that is, but hello, thanks for joining. So they wanted to sell it privately, so I listed it on my hotel. And, you know, looking back, and at the time too, no one really thought that this girl from California that doesn't even live here, oh, hey, Pete, welcome, that doesn't even live here, is going to sell this hotel, you know, like, it's just not going to happen. And no one really believed it except me. And that's just something, you know, for you guys to take home about belief in yourself. And I just I don't know, I felt like I had stayed at Nautilus before. It was the first hotel I stayed at when I came to Santa Teresa. It has a vegan, vegetarian restaurant. And I had fallen in love with the hotel. Pete and I had stayed there when we came to Santa Teresa. And so it just, for me, felt like the right, I don't know, just felt like something that was going to work out intuitively. And I know hindsight is 20/20, but I really did believe this at the time. And so I listed the hotel. And again, I'm leaving out a lot of details. This is a shortened version of the story. I listed the hotel, and at the end of 2014, the current owner, Mark, he wasn't the owner at the time, he contacted me about buying the hotel. And through that, I found myself being a real estate broker, which I had no idea about, like, anything about real estate. And I found myself brokering this deal for this almost $2 million hotel in Santa Teresa that had 2 Israeli owners that were living in Costa Rica, and a guy that was from England but lived in Dubai wanted to buy the hotel, and this girl that's like brokering the deal lives in California, and now we're hiring this lawyer that lives in the city in Costa Rica to do the deal. And you just have all these moving parts, and no one really knows what's going on. And for that year and a half, I was really the one that brokered the deal. And you can ask Pete, he will affirm this for me. Figuring out time zones, figuring out Skype connections, getting everyone on the same page, really making sure the deal didn't fall through. And through that, I traveled again back and forth here for a while. And meanwhile, Pete and I also got married. We got married before this. And we were both living in San Clemente. And I asked him if I sold the hotel, what would he think of like moving here to manage it? And again, it's one of those things that when you're talking about it in the past, seems like it will never happen. It just seems like, okay, this bitch is crazy. Like, I'm not saying that Pete ever said or thought that, but I'm sure that's what people thought, like, what is she talking about? She's going to go manage this hotel and da-da-da. And, he had a great job and we had a stable life, comfy, cozy life. Everything was great. And he was like, yeah, sure. If you can pull it off to where we have a great, stable job there and we have something to work for, then yes, I will go with you and we'll do that. And so that became the plan. And I talked to Mark about it before he bought the hotel, that he could stay in Dubai and he could, continue to make his money there and then eventually come and retire in Costa Rica, and that we would manage the hotel for him. And he thought it was a great idea, and we had a very trusting relationship by this point. And it happened. And yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm leaving out any major parts up to this point, but in April of 2016, he finally signed the deal. And the hotel was sold, and in May, Pete and I moved here. And before then was when we went to Asia because we knew we were going to be moving here, so we took a 3-month trip, which was amazing. And then got here and really, for lack of a better way to describe it, just got thrown into the deep end when we got here. Of the 4 owners that owned the hotel, there were 2 brothers and their wives. They were all 4 out of the country for different reasons. 2 in Thailand for 3 months, the other couple in Panama for 10 days. And Pete and I literally started working the day that we got here. And we're being trained how to do things on WhatsApp, on the app WhatsApp, through voice messages, literally. And we're just like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? We're like living on the top of this mountain. We don't have a car. It's the start of the rainy season. And needless to say, we went through some very, 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 very challenging experiences. We got robbed at one point. We lost our laptops, our cameras, our hard drives, GoPros, memory cards, everything that I had was just gone. And that was a couple weeks after we moved here. And it was a string of events that just kept happening. Whereas for me, having lived here for a while and I had lived here for 6 months before we got married, and I was kind of more used to it. And I think for him, it wasn't his place, And in the end, it was like, see, again, I don't really know who's watching and how far back to go with the story, but him and I continued to be friends. We just decided it wasn't the right place for him, and through the job, it just was not the right job for him. And yeah, eventually, so we decided to get a divorce. And I haven't really said that publicly much, other than a few Facebook posts here and there. But he's living back in California. And so at the end of in November, we decided that would be better for, that he go back. And through that, it was very challenging. We went through, I would say, probably one of the hardest years of my life. I don't know for him if it was the same. But really going through that whole roller coaster of everything, moving to a foreign country, taking over the business, and then just realizing that it wasn't what we expected it was going to be. And so, yeah, managing the hotel now for me, it has been a very interesting experience, having gone through everything. I've been here now over a year. A lot of my own personal things that I was doing, teaching yoga, therapy, a lot of that sort of was, I don't want to say thrown to the wayside, but I guess, again, for lack of a better way to describe it, none of that stuff was focused on. It was either the hotel or what was going on with my relationship, and then after that, really soaking up all that Santa Teresa has to offer, and really being able to find myself again through that, and redefining myself as a single person, and of course all the social stigma of what happens when you get divorced, and especially when you get, moving to a foreign country and everything that surrounds that. So yeah, I guess that's really for me what I wanted to put out there. If someone, there's not many people watching now, but this will be available for people to, know what I'm actually doing here. I'm managing a hotel. I could talk about that part for a while. And what my day-to-day looks like. So I now have another co-manager, Juan, who took over Pete's job a few months after Pete left. And in the interim, Pete was helping me from abroad to do everything that was needed to be done. And, going from 4 people that own the place to pretty much the bulk of the responsibility and everything being on my shoulders for the most part. Yes, there's other people helping me, but the knowledge and everything, bye Pete, sort of, sat with me in that sense. So I lost my train of thought. So going from 4 to 1, it's been very, very, very challenging. It's been very stressful, and these are the things that I don't really talk about that often. I, sort of post like, oh, everything's great, and I stopped posting a lot on Facebook. I post more on Instagram, but again, not as much, and sort of more generic things, because my day-to-day is consumed with managing a hotel, so and managing a restaurant, and coordinating a yoga program, and so on any given day, I'm in communication with upwards of 50 people, but via phone, WhatsApp, or Facebook messaging to, yoga teachers, clients, my staff, providers, the owner, bankers, whatever it is. I'm constantly coordinating all of these things, and I also do all of the reservations and the booking. I manage the groups that come to the hotel. I do all the scheduling. When I first came here, I was the legal representative. I still am, but I was the only one, so I've been responsible for starting the business from the beginning here, getting all the patents, going to the health department, getting those patents, going to the tax board, opening that account. And when I say those things, it's funny because it just sounds like, oh, you just go to this office and open that. But the place to go to open the tax account is in Punta Arenas, which is an hour car ride to a ferry, and then you get on the ferry, and then you take that for an hour and 20 minutes, and you go to this office that may or may not be open, and the guy may or may not be there. It's just really a lot of running around and going back and forth. And pura vida, there are things that you eventually learn. I chose this country because it has a slower pace of life, and because of that, it's going to be a slower pace of life. So within that process is how you start to learn the lessons. It's like, well, I can't come here and be pushy and expect that everything's going to be done my way and the American way and quick, and you should be more organized. And that's not why I'm here, and that's not realistic. And what I've found throughout that process is that really in every day and every moment we have the opportunity to connect with people that are around us. And so here you're really more able to feel like you're part of a community. And what I mean by that is I now know personally the people who work in the Social Security office or who work in the municipality office, and I've sat with them and I've talked with them. And I've worked on my Spanish with them, and they've told me stories about their lives. And like today, I need a mixer, like a DJ mixer, to be able to start moving forward with my podcast, which is something else that I wanted to talk about, something that's coming up. And here when you need equipment or technology, it's not so easy. You don't just go to the Best Buy or to wherever to buy it. You either have to go to San Jose, or you have to go to Cobano, which is about a 45-minute drive away, and hope that they have it there, or they find someone to order something for you, and then they order it and deliver it. So it's sort of this funny chain of events that's just happening all day long. And I had to do some things for work today, so we went to Cobano, and of course my car is in the shop. That's a whole other story. So I have a car right now, so I'm kind of walking around, hitchhiking, taking taxis. And I get to Cobano, and I walk into the shop where they sell all the electronics and the kitchen things, whatever. And the guys there know me because I'm always going in there looking for different things. And I got like the two guys, and they're like on the internet looking for a mixer for me, and they're calling their friend in the warehouse in San Jose to see if they have it in stock. And and then the other guys are like trying to get it for me on time. And then they're like looking at my YouTube channel, and it becomes this like funny, interactive part of my day that now when I go back, people are going to always know me and be able to help me with what I'm doing in this town. So it's part of like that community vibe where even though things take longer in certain ways, you're able to feel like you're more a part of something. You're more like taken care of and contained. So that's something that I really love about this place. But before I continue rambling on and on and on, getting back to my goal of talking about what I'm doing here, what's going on with me, my day-to-day, as I said, manager life. It's what it consumes me. Even when I'm not there, I'm always on my phone or emailing, or I'm responsible. And when I'm not doing that, I get to surf and be at the beach all the time. It's amazing here. We have the most incredible sunsets. I get to do yoga with the most incredible instructors. I get to take workshops when I have time or when there's great people in town. Get to go to ecstatic dances. There's really a lot of cool events and a lot of cool people here that are doing some fun stuff. So that's really what my day-to-day looks like, and I'd like to get back to doing my own brand again. I'm going to start podcasting and interviewing people. So if you know someone or you yourself have a topic that you think would be a good fit for my show, it's going to be a variety show. Meaning it's not a specific topic like just veganism or just Costa Rica or just travel. It's going to be different things each time, focus on like different topics. So in that sense, I really want the host to be able to provide sort of the topic or what they're going to be able to give to the listeners. So that's something I'm really excited about. I'm looking to hire someone to help me with my social media and my website, my content, so that I can, focus on growing that while doing the hotel as well. And it's sort of like they both work hand in hand. And yeah, I want to get back to doing therapy here and couples retreats eventually, teaching yoga again. But for now, it's been a lot of business, very business heavy, probably a little more business oriented than people maybe had anticipated that my life is like here. I don't know. But if you've never been to Costa Rica, it's a really, really amazing place to visit. I recommend coming for at least a week or longer. I know Americans tend to want to travel for like 5 or 6 days, but because we are on the tip of a peninsula, it takes about, half a day to a day's travel, depending on when your flights are, to get here and to leave here. And you really want to be able to unwind and soak it in and chill. And there's a lot to see and do. So whether you stay at the hotel that I manage or not, depending on what your budget is, I would love to have you guys and host you guys and just to like have people experience some of the magic that is this place. For a while, I just wasn't happy with life back in the U.S. It's hard not living close to family. The one thing missing here is family. I try and get my parents and my brother to move here all the time, and my best friends. If Jacqueline ever watches this, she will affirm to this. And Joelle, I'm hoping I'm getting her on the bandwagon to come out here because I want to have my people here too. There's a lot of really amazing people here, but I miss my friends and family. But one of the things that I realized was that in California, even though I was in LA, I was surrounded in LA by my family, Pete's family, all of my friends. My family wasn't very far away. And I really wasn't seeing people very much, friends. I wasn't seeing much of anyone. And this is, myself to blame. I'm not saying this is anyone else to blame. But when I did want to see people, it was a lot of driving. And I just felt like I was always in my car, always on the 1 or on the 10 freeway or the 15 or whatever. And it was this sort of this thing inside me where it was like I either can stay and chill and enjoy my life or like be driving and hanging out with family for a few hours and going back, so it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was getting to spend quality time either. It's like, oh, here's a birthday party where everyone shows up and you don't really get to like talk and interact with people. You might spend it talking to 1 or 2 people, but you don't really get that daily interaction that I was craving. And so what I found is that here, that's really different. Like here, I just leave my house to go to lunch somewhere, and I end up talking to 50 people that I know by the time I got home. And if your family and friends are here, it includes them, obviously. And everyone's sort of interweaving their days around one another, whether it's purposeful or not. And as you know, on the contrary, on the other side of that is when I do see my friends and family that don't live here, it's for longer periods of time and more quality time, because we know that we're not going to see each other for a while probably. So there's that intention of like, okay, I'm going to make this worthwhile, you know, we'll see you for a few days or weeks, and it's like focused time, you actually do things together. So even though you're not as available or I'm not as available to see people as often, I do in a weird way feel like I've gotten closer to people. So just another part of the process of living abroad. So yeah, I guess I've been talking for about 30 minutes here. There's 9 people watching. I don't know who you guys are. I'm assuming it's Joelle and my mom maybe, and maybe Robbie, and I don't know who else. But if it's people I know on Facebook and you want to ask me questions there, or if you want to say hi, you can do that there. If it's not people I know, you should, I don't know, say hi somehow. It's weird not being able to interact with you guys. You guys can tell this is weird for me. But yeah, I want to, like I said, do this more often. So if there's certain things you guys want to talk about, I'm going to make them more specific. Hi, Mommy. Mommy's here. More tailored on certain topics and things like that. So yeah, I'd love to hear more from you guys, and going to be redoing the website, redoing all the content, making it more user-friendly, and really getting more serious about this stuff. So I think that is enough for now. I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday evening. It's 5:30 here. I hear a storm coming, and I need to get my laundry done, so I have to take that to the hotel, and I don't have my car. So I have to figure out a way to get there. And then I'm going to dinner at Koji's with a couple of my friends, Jesse and Andre, and my co-manager Juan. They own the Marbella Hotel out here. They're very dear friends of mine, and Juan works with me. So that should be really fun. I'm excited for that, and have a lovely, lovely rest of your week. I'm going to figure out how to stop this now. Bye, guys. Love you.